Hi, I'm Cyril Moutran, and I'm founder and CEO of Twazzup.
And I'm Hugo Hardel. I'm also a founder of Twazzup, and I focus mostly on business development, marketing. We have a third team member who's not here today, unfortunately. His name is Stefan Philippakis, and he's our main technical guy. And let me talk briefly about the product, Twazzup, what we've built. Twazzup is a real-time search engine. That's the short version. I think it would help if I go a little bit into the long version and talk a little bit about the Twazzup experience, which is unlike a traditional search engine experience. It's more like a broadcasting experience, if you want. So you go into Twazzup, and the experience is if there's a real-time event somewhere, or if there is a conference somewhere, you can sort of track that conference through a hashtag or special custom page, and you're going to see the messages from the people at the conference or on site at the event. You're going to see the pictures that they take on site that show up in real time. You're going to see the links, and so the experience that creates is it's sort of the ability to follow a conference or follow a news event from your computer, and it's very connected because it's powered by the people, if you want. So, more of a broadcasting experience than a search experience, but the technology behind it is really a search technology.
Okay, great. So how long did it take you guys to build Twazzup?
Well, so when we initially selected App Engine, we started with a prototype, and we were done with the prototype with about 3 days, so it was very quick. But it really took us about 10 weeks to launch officially the site. And it was like we launched in April, mid-April, and since then we've been working on the site for about 6 months.
Okay, so how did you guys use App Engine?
So we started with some of the basic APIs. We used Memcache a lot in our first version. We used the URL fetch. And a little bit of the data store to start, mostly session management. But then we decided to, in the last version we pushed a couple of weeks ago, we used the data store a lot more, and I think our direction is to use it a lot more.
And I think if I can add to that, we probably use few of the many APIs that are available in the App Engine, but we're very intense users of those few APIs that we use.
Okay, great. So why did you guys choose App Engine?
So when we started this project, we wanted to have somewhat of a flexible platform. So we looked at AWS, the Amazon offering, and at Google. At the time, Google only had Python, but I think the combination of how fast our first prototype went, and also the flexibility that we saw in the App Engine, and then also we trusted Google for scaling, and I think we've not been disappointed at all. That's been the case.
Yeah, and scaling for us is absolutely huge in the sense that, like I said, the experience is very event driven. So when you have an event like the election in Iran, where a lot of the news were flowing through social media, all of a sudden we've seen a jump of traffic. I think it was, from day one to day two, it was more than 10 times the traffic we had seen. So the ability to ramp up traffic without really thinking about it was absolutely huge, absolutely a big benefit.
Okay, great. So what are some future plans you have for things that use App Engine, new features, things like that?
So we've been ongoing doing development on App Engine. So the way Twazzup is really built is it's a mashup of several services. We do search on Twitter, so we use a lot of the Twitter API, but we also built our own set of services. So we have multiple App Engine instances running these services, and we keep adding more and more there. So far the App Engine is our main development platform, and for Kubernetes front end, and we're going to hopefully move more and more of our effort there.
Okay, so what are some things that you really like about App Engine?
Okay, so on my side, the thing I like the most is I don't have to think about a couple of things. Like I used to do in our previous startup project, I used to do all the sysadmin. And with the App Engine, it's a one button deploy. It's also the fact that you can deploy new version with no interruption of service for the users makes a very, very big difference. At least in our case, as we are in a very early stage of our application, it gives us the opportunity to deploy multiple times a week, and sometimes multiple times a day when we have to respond to things very quickly. So that's one thing. I think the scalability, as we said before, I think that's definitely something good for us. I think overall the flexibility the platform gives, the fact that you can build prototype very quickly because you really have to just think about the application layer and nothing really below that. And that's the main criteria for me.
Yeah, and I think if you look at Twazzup, it's a 3-people team, and we can definitely do without the overhead. And the App Engine is really, really helpful there. I think it's difficult to make that assessment, but I think over time we've probably saved hundreds of hours, not having to manage the environment because it largely manages itself. Not having to fine-tune the configuration for performance because it's already built in. With a team our size, that was it was very, very, very helpful.
Okay, great. So, what are some things you'd like to see in App Engine?
Well, so I think we're very pleased with what we have already. There are a couple of things that I think we could use on our side. The full text search on the data store would be something nice, and definitely we would take advantage. We have some ideas of features we could use. I think.
How about wildcard domains?
Yes. Wildcard domain, that's more specific to our application, but we do, the way Twazzup is built, events organizers, celebrities could own their own Twazzup site. And so for that, the ability to do the wildcard domain without manual configuration would be very nice.
Okay, great. So do you have any tips or things that you'd learned that you'd like to pass on to other people who use App Engine?
Use it.
Definitely. Initially we went into it mostly as, for us, more learning about cloud computing. If you have a project where, like the startup project is a good example where you have to do very iterative development. App Engine is the perfect platform for that. It's a platform where you can deploy multiple times a day. It's also a platform where you can take your code base very easily, fork the code base, do 2 or 3 experiments, use free App Engine instances, and let people decide which one is the best, for instance. So there's a lot of ways you can use that flexibility, and I would encourage everybody to use it.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
All right. Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.